Welcome back to episode 15 of The Fall of Plaguestone. I am Azmyth. I am your dedicated dungeon master, or in this case, game master, respecting trademarks and such. We're playing Pathfinder 2, and this is Azmyth Busters. And when last we met, the group just finished ransacking the secret hideout of Halid, and got a few more pieces of clues towards the mystery, revealing a new protagonist, perhaps by someone who signed their note by the letter V. The group has returned back to Etrin's Folly, now coming out of the entrance or the exit into the forest where you found the pond and the path. Roughed it for a little bit, got back onto the trails. And before no time, you were into the center of Etrin's Folly, where you were met by Tamley and Delma, and you were just kind of talking to them a bit. You had already gotten the sheriff involved. There were plans to take Halid and basically stake him to a tree, essentially, and put someone on him round the clock, so there's no way that he can get away. And it was Tomley who had told you that an elven woman dragging a sled had come into town, asking questions about the wolves and the corruption. And she was told that there was a fight that occurred, and that your group had taken out one of these corrupted wolves, and she was seeking to speak to you. So Tamley was warning you that there's a really good chance, I don't know about warning you, but letting you know that there's a good chance that this woman would be seeking you out. And she described her as a fairly pretty looking elven woman, blonde hair, very pronounced ears, and having a look like she spends a good amount of time out in the forest. And I believe that is where we left off on 14. So what would you like to do, brave adventurers?
Well, I think rest is definitely in the order. And then I think some of us were going to help with watching Halid at certain times in the evening, just to make sure that fucker doesn't go anywhere.
Nope.
Sure. There was no indication when the circuit court judge was going to arrive, but it is sometime in the next couple weeks he's expected. So, any shifts that you can help with would be appreciated. And as I said before, just to reiterate, Rolf's demeanor has tightened up a little bit. He seems to be much more trusting in your decisions and how you want to move forward with the investigation. Tomley is still very eager to get to the bottom of who's responsible for killing her friend, and has already said, if it's necessary, if there's a need for investment toward the investigation, she says, I have some personal coin that I will throw at the matter. So she was very clear about that. Like, if you need to buy anything for the investigation, you let her know, and she's got, 40, 50 gold socked away for just such an occasion. So you want to head back to the rooms, or the lofts as they were, the rooms that you've been provided over the stables. And as you are approaching from the side where the wagons are stowed, one of the wagons has been blocked up, and one of the wheels has been taken off. They're just doing some routine repairs. You did some on the spot repairs when you were out in the field, but they're doing some full routine maintenance now that the wagons don't need to go anywhere for a while. One of them's up on blocks. And even before you get all the way up to where the ladders are to take you up to the room, you see a woman shrouded in heavy brown cloak trimmed with leaves. She marches towards you, pulling a simple wooden sled behind her. As she approaches, she brings the sled to one side and uncovers her cargo, which is a pile of wolf carcasses. Despite having her cloak hood pulled low, you can make out weathered lips and a slender chin and a pointed toe. She asks, "Is this your work?"
A lot of wolves get taken out of this. Are those the wolves that we killed?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like the same. They've decomposed a few days. It kind of matches. Sure.
Yes, that is all. These wolves attacked our caravan.
They dragged me.
Right? We had to track poor Lycera down. They were very vicious and somewhat different than normal wolves. One spat acid.
Yes, I am aware that there is a blight in this area. I have served these woods for many years. I retired here after the Goblin Wars and thought I was going to have some peace and a little quiet, and instead, the creeping blight seems to be upon this area.
Creeping blight?
We're not aware of a blight. Could you explain that?
She says, for the past several years, there's been an ever-growing blight in the region. What started a few years ago with some sickly trees has become a series of pockets of dead and dying plants. In some cases, worse still, some of the animals living near those areas begin to have strange mutations and have turned hostile towards travelers and locals alike, those that they would not normally prey upon. There hasn't been an obvious cause. The only common element is that in each of the affected areas, the blight seems to start in groves of large old trees. It seems to affect them first and then go out from there. That is all I really know. I believe all of these beasts were affected by the blight. She says, I'm sorry. I do tend to get into a singular focus. My name is Nola Kesvir. I serve these woods. Delma and I have had many interactions in the past. And Delma, who's still with you, will kind of, give you, when you look at her, she's like, yeah, she nods. She nods and confirms. She says, I fear that the blight is affecting more. Clearly, it's affecting more than plants in this area, and I fear that the blight might be farther spread than even I suspected.
Can I make a medicine check to see if I've even heard of a blight that acts like this?
Sure.
Absolutely. Theron's first inclination is things spreading from plants to animals sounds magical.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see, what did I roll? Ooh, 19 on the die, so that is a 27.
You are unaware of a blight of this kind. You have heard of these types of, plants, things that affect plants that will wipe them out. And they will be a blight upon, the flora of the area. And you've also heard about, diseases that have been a blight to the fauna of the area. But as you have pointed out, Theron, they rarely naturally exist across those boundaries. And that leads you to believe that it is either magical in origin or it is being manipulated some other way.
Or maybe alchemical. It is odd that we have this kind of blight that goes from plant to animal. At least in my knowledge about diseases, this seems like something unnatural, maybe magical or alchemical. Would you agree?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
You don't think this is he's thinking about the time when they fought that wolf with the spitting acid, and
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
You don't think this is gonna contagion us or anything, do you? He starts like wiping his hands.
Well, not if you don't share any commonalities with Beast. I don't think it will affect any of us in this way.
Well.
So Daisy is highly susceptible.
That's what I was going to say.
Hey, come on now.
So, what is the purpose of bringing these wolves here, if I might ask? Why not?
Because I want to properly dispose of them. If the blight somehow can still be transferred from their carcasses, then they will be burned and they will be dealt with in a proper way. That was my intention. She says, I wonder if you would be interested in joining me, accompanying me back to this wolf's den. I believe you did take out an alpha and some of its pack, but I believe that some still remain. And I would like to ferret out what's left and perhaps get some more information about the blight, a better understanding about the blight.
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I wouldn't mind a spot of rest. And I'm famished.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow.
And not to be that guy, but according to the newest theories, there's no such thing as alphas within wolves. That's for you, Lena.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was thinking that as I was reading it.
I just ranted this week on how I think alphas are bullshit.
Yes, you did. It is a scientific fallacy that was created as a result of the patriarchy and scientists who have penises.
And then they find that, like, they have they'd be like, wolf pack migrating, and actually the oldest wolves are in the front.
Yeah, it's seniority.
So that,
they just
not only that, just also they don't get left behind because they're slower than all that. So they keep the pace. They set the pace.
Yes.
I'm beginning to think this is the worst druid ever.
She says, I am fine. I am fine if we made that trip out to the den tomorrow.
That's the young adult book series.
I am fine if you would like to take your rest this evening. We can leave in the morning. Admittedly, I have very little need for sleep, but I will wait here. And she proceeds to pull her sled to the side, and she says, I will dispose of these first before we bed down for the night. If we are all in agreement, then the morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
She takes her pack and she kind of flops her pack off on the pole where you had the asshole, where you had the brothers tied up. She kind of props her pack up against that, and takes off her thickest overcoat and cloak, and she grabs her sled and spins it around and heads it back out towards the forest.
Okay. I'm beginning to think that the people of this town are not very good at making decisions. Like, if she thought the wolves were blighted, why did she bring them into town?
Almost as, make sure you get those downwind before you light them up. She's kind of,
Listen,
I just hope someone gets those pelts before they they bury those wolves. It seems like a shame to waste them. But
Daisy, you don't want those pelts.
Well, there wasn't all what'd you say, lighted or whatever. Is Cookie still around?
What were you saying, Desna?
He is. Cookie's around.
I'm not saying anything now. I forgot what I was saying. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I just
Damn, I missed it.
So yeah, is Cookie cooking?
He's not officially cooking. He's doing little small batches for those who just can't stand to eat here at the
That would be us. Yeah.
yeah. So he's doing some small batch things for particular few.
Oh, thank you, Cookie. I will do all the dishes. It's so nice to have your cooking again.
Yeah. Helping out with the dishes seems reasonable.
I'll be helping out.
So, he admits to you that he's been sneaking into Amora's kitchen to handle the bigger jobs when she's not around. She can't be there 24/7. She can't be around the clock here, can she? And when she leaves, well, I go in and do a few things, and then I'm on my way and out. And after certain preparations are done, certain things need certain things. And he's like, our secret is safe. I hope if you rat me out, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
Not a word. Not a word.
So as I said, he has small little what he's been doing is he's been sneaking in and he's been baking these little pie shells, and then out on the caravan in his own cooking stuff, he's been making the fillings, and then he sneaks the pie shells out and he puts the fillings on, and Bob's your uncle. There you have meat pies. So
now that's actually one thing Daisy wants to talk about. My pastry just never works out. It's stodgy as fuck, and so he's basically grilling Cookie around.
Sure. A couple times, Amora has come around the caravan asking if anyone, not making any accusations, but asking if anyone had been in the kitchen or had come and gone. Had one of the employees gone in, and of course the teamsters of the caravan, I mean, they're a family. They're not going to rat each other out whether they saw something or not. So everyone's just like, I don't know. I'm not sure. So it's been kind of left at that. So unless you have anything else you want to see, say, or take care of, you may bed down for the night and have your rest.
All right.
Awesome. Kitty cuddles.
So I guess we should probably talk about the mechanics behind how much health you get back when you're resting overnight. How many folks are going into this evening wounded, carrying wounds from before? Anybody? Is everybody at full health?
I think we got everybody up to full health. I think I'm 1 hit point down.
Okay, fantastic.
All
right, fantastic. Is there any new mechanics in Pathfinder 2nd Edition? Is it like your con adjustment?
It's now I need to remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it is too. Off the top of my head, I can't.
It's something about X times your con modifier.
Because I know that there's also a certain amount.
Or I might be thinking about another game. Too many games. All right.
So not that anybody needs the healing, but it is nice to know on nights when you are barked up and going down and needing that rest.
Afflictions, hit points, and healing. Not that. Wounded, not that.
Is Entrance Folly like big enough to have a shop or shops or like a leather worker or anything like craftspeople like that?
Let me see.
So, right? I thought when we came in, you said the inn was like the main hub of everything.
Yeah, there aren't many businesses here.
Maybe they have turnip armor.
Yeah, I do not believe. I mean, it's likely to assume that there are people in this town that can work leather and make leather shit, but there is no quote unquote leather shop or someone
Yeah.
who can work with that kind of stuff. It's like, it's more of a barter home community where everyone's kind of doing their own.
Well, at least one time during
Here
the
we
day,
go.
I'll spend a couple hours, in the tap room or whatever, and use my hobnobber feet to just find out like who around town can make leather goods or something. I have special order.
So Constitution modifier times your level is how many hit points you gain back after resting 8 hours.
Constitution modifier times your level.
Yep. Minimum 1. So.
All right. Very good. Very good. Okay. So you were going to try to hobnob to find out if there's anybody who does good leather, and how do you determine that? Is that like a social roll you have to make, or
Diplomacy? But we can kind of like paraphrase this. So I want to go to a long scene over it. But I rolled a 16 on the die, and so a total of 24.
Yeah, you after talking to a few people, it sounds pretty clear that your best option is to buy out of town. There really isn't a super skilled person, certainly not no one that can make armor out of leather, but there's people that can make simple repairs. They can put a strap on, they can put a rivet in, they can put a buckle on, but nobody is actually making things from scratch or doing any kind of custom alterations or anything. They tell you, that's why they're dependent on the caravan. Because a lot of times those things have to come out of the bigger cities and the caravan brings them here.
Right.
Well, that's why we're trying so hard to solve it, so we can get the hell out of here.
Yeah, no shit.
I really do not like this town.
Turnips.
But answer me this: is anyone I see in the tavern all day wearing a nice hat?
No.
Damn. Okay.
Are you going to trade a hat for some meat or something, or steal a hat, or?
If you spent any time with Daisy the last couple of days, he's been talking about, like, when I get some money, buying a hat, like wide brim leather hat, big feather, like pinned on the side. I've been wanting that hat since I was a kid. I got into adventure, so I could afford it. So, yeah.
That's fair.
Lofty goals.
Yeah.
That is absolutely fair. All right, so you find out the information that you find out. Finnick is back to work. You're spending time in the tap room again. Finnick is happily back to his routine, like nothing ever happened. And seems to be a bit happier, probably knowing that Halid's not going to box him on the ears anymore. So he's got a pretty good disposition, and when he sees you, he calls all of you, friend, like Kira, friend Daisy, friend Simon, friend Desna. He refers to all of you, friend hyphen, friend is the prefix to your name in each case. So he gives you great service while you're there, Daisy. If you're not at the bar getting your own drinks while you're hanging out and talking to people, while the other servers are making their rounds, he's also like cleaning up tables and doing his normal Finnick stuff, but he'll also come over and ask friend Daisy if you need anything.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, no. I'm doing just fine, thank you. And but he'll, Daisy will finish the night with his fiddle out and start, playing some of the tavern favorites for the crowd. This is kind of what he does.
You want to make a performance check or something?
Sure.
Likes?
That's a 20.
That's quite the ditty you're playing there.
Well, my mother ordered all my brothers that we had to learn an instrument. And,
it earned you 13 silver pieces.
Whoa.
Playing that evening, you get some coins. 13, the equivalent of 13 silver pieces, so that would be 1 gold, 3 silver in mixed coin. No actual gold coins. It's all silvers and coppers.
So wherever the rest of the party is, if they're like, up in the loft,
likely,
or if they're here, immediately once they kind of get this windfall, I buy like whatever the best shit that the tavern has where they got it squirreled away or whatever.
Yeah.
And I bring it back to the loft. And so Daisy will show up later, also probably with a big hunk of cheese and some bread and some,
Yeah.
and with a big thing of whatever they had, and go, friends, I bring bounty.
You
All
want
right,
to basically
Daisy.
you want to spend all of the 15 silver you just earned.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
Daisy, you should save at least half of that for the hat fund.
You get
you
get a bottle of wine. You get a bottle of spirits, some kind of light colored spirits. Neither one of them have
Turnip
labels on them,
vodka.
but you can tell just by shaking it, like the way it bubbles, what it is. You have two of one of each. He gave you she gave you 3/4 of the day's baguette that wasn't eaten. So you got like a loaf, 3/4 of a loaf, a hunk of cheese, and what looks like a hunk of salted venison. It's just dark brown, big block of dried meats. And that's what you get for your 15 silver.
Cool. Okay.
Amazing. Dinner and a show.
Yeah. So you bring that back to the group and share.
Yeah, and when
Sure.
from what Theron said, Daisy's like, well, according to the holy words of my blessed patron Caden Kalian, easy come, easy go, and when you got it, share it. That's kind of.
You're never going to be able to get a hat.
Cookie said he's willing to charge you a small fee of a cup or two in exchange for using his glassware, which isn't glassware, it's ceramicware, but he always calls it glassware. It's big, heavy, like thick pottery cups that even if they break, they're easy to fix back up again. And a lot of them have been broken and fixed. But he basically says if you're pouring for me, you can use my glassware.
Fair, big sir.
Yeah, keep the cookie happy. It's important.
Yeah.
So the wine is it's wine. It's nothing to be really all that impressed about. It's a little too sweet. It's a little too acidic. You're like, okay. The liquor actually is not turnip liquor. It is a grain liquor, and it's a clear grain liquor, and it's really good.
There is a God, and she shines down on us.
It's more on the spectrum of a really light corn / wheat kind of grain liquor. It's definitely distilled. It's definitely high grade. Like you shake the bottle a little bit just to look at the bubbles, and you're like, oh, Daisy, even before opening it, I mean, you got the eyes of a shiner. You know what that shit looks like. So you crack it, and as soon as you pop it, you've already had the wine out. You're already tasting that. Everyone's having a little glass of that. And it's like, yeah, that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. When you get to the other stuff and you crack that, the smell of that just kind of superimposes. And it's not like liquid fire where it hurts to drink it. It's got a lot of flavor, but it's very, very potent stuff. So everybody's getting just a little schnot, right? Just a little snort. There's not enough to go around to everyone, and you wouldn't drink this like you drink the wine. But there's certainly enough to share with everyone who wants some. The caravanners are very interested, not in the wine, but in the distilled spirits, especially, Frick and Frack. They're looking for their cup full as well.
Yeah, well, this is exactly like where Daisy loves to be. So and he'll play for he'll finish out the night with them with some fiddle playing too.
Yeah. So like I said, it's a grain alcohol, but it's not like Everclear grain alcohol. It's not quite that hot. And yeah, that becomes the featured thing of the night. Everybody has theirs. You can doll it out however you decide. Everybody, there's enough of the food stuffs that if everybody wants a little hunk of this, hunk of that. Some people aren't even hungry. Some people are. Even Cookie gets in on some of that stuff that you brought. because it's just, it's different than what he's got. It's different. Yeah, he doesn't have any of that cheese. Yeah, give me some of that. Give me some of that bread. Give me some of that cheese. Right over here. No, I eat first. I feed you first. I eat first. Let me have that. He's all about that. So, yeah.
Sweet.
And the evening afterwards is largely uneventful. Do you feel the need to have somebody on watch other than those who have volunteered to be part of the guard duty of overlooking Halid?
I don't think so. I mean, some of us are. I think, if I remember right, which I may not, is some of us are taking. I think I'm taking a morning shift of watching
The next day.
Yeah, the next day. So, but yeah, I don't think there needs to be a watch. Does anybody disagree?
There's a lot of eyeballs around here, and there's a lot of, even if everybody is sleeping, there's still a lot of people that could potentially be woke up if there was somebody creeping around doing something they shouldn't be doing.
I more feel the need for a rest.
Yeah. So that being said, unbelievably so, these beds, these makeshift down and straw beds are incredibly comfortable this evening. And they seem so for everyone, and you all are very comfortable in them, and get a great night's sleep. The night goes uneventfully. There's no yells, no calls, no nothings. The morning is pretty consistently, since you've been in Etrin's Folly, the mornings generally start with the smell of something being cooked. And you're just adjacent to the cookhouse. So anytime Amora shows up, and she usually gets here before the light of day. She usually gets here when it's still dark and gets things going early in the morning. So it's very common for you, and it's not even a lot of the point that you're smelling the breakfast to be cooked. You may be smelling what she's cooking for dinner. But she always starts it early enough in the morning that you're waking up with this kind of nice, reassuring kind of savory food smell when you wake up. Whether you eat it or not, it's like ever present in this place.
That's the best way to wake up.
All right. Well, I'll wander back after taking my turn to watch the criminal.
Sure. And you are replaced by a couple of townies. One of them, they're both farm kids, but one of them looks a little tougher than the other. And the smaller of the two had a bit of a sadistic streak. They showed up before your shift was over, and you didn't even know at first that they were replacing you. You thought that maybe they were just showing up to see what the hell is going on, kind of thing. And the smaller of the two had a bit of a sadistic streak and was throwing a couple kicks into Halid now that he was tied up, to the point where you're like, hey, enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no need for that.
There's no need for that. Just move along. And they're like, move along. No, we're here to replace you. We're the next shift. And you're like, oh, terrific. So you can anticipate that Halid will have an interesting morning as you make your way back to the rest of the group.
I come in. We really need to find a way to get out of this town.
Yeah.
Great.
Naola is walking towards you kind of at the same time that you're arriving to the base of the stairs, Theron, that go up to the individual lofts. Your friends are already kind of assembled, and some have come down, some are still up when you walk up and say that. And she's walking up from the side. So she's coming up on your left-hand side opposite of the carriages, which are parked on the right-hand side. She doesn't smile. And that may be your experience with elves, but she doesn't wear a whole lot of her feelings in an outwardly way. She's very reserved looking, and she walks up to you and she says, are you ready to go?
I believe so. The group, we ready?
Yeah. Let's do this.
Before we go, I did want to ask Halid one question. Now that we rested, I have my feet and I have the light to me, and I was honestly just curious about one thing. I'll come up to Theron and ask him if there was anything eventful. If he seemed. I know he's still coming off of whatever it is he's coming off of right now. I wonder how agitated he is.
He seemed he's in distress and he's cranky. And I don't think the people who relieved me are going to help with that in any way.
Before we go, I just wanted to check one thing because I don't trust him and I think he's lying. So
Naola says this is acceptable. We can stop off at the tree near the stone. All right,
Great.
so you do.
Might want to bring him some food if he hasn't eaten yet. Might help.
You'll bring Halid some food?
If no one's fed him yet, it might be good to bring him some food.
Yeah, great point, Daisy. Yeah. So I'll grab. Do we have any leftover cheese or bread from last night?
No.
No? Dang. Okay. Well, I'll grab whatever's available for breakfast. It's not your
Woke up
fault.
at 3 o'clock in the morning, had to go pee, and ate the rest of the cheese. It was delicious.
And I'll come up to him with the little food bowl and sit crisscross applesauce a few feet in front of him. I'll put the food off to the side and look at him. I just want to ask, the note that was in your pocket, you said you don't know who V is, and I don't believe you. Is that true?
Says I didn't say that.
What do you mean? You said that wasn't your note.
He says his response was, I didn't say that.
Okay. So tell me how this skill feat works, because it says it's based on deception. Do I need to make a roll for this? So just roll
if he's attempting a deception roll, then it sounds like that feat kicks in. Or if you suspect that someone is being, how's it worded? How's the feat worded?
Level 1 train in deception benefits, use deception to detect lies. So I think I'm using it to detect, right?
Okay. So you just have the ability, you're just good at detecting lies. So if someone uses deception against you, then I believe that's when that kicks in.
Okay.
And how's it resolve? Is it a roll or is it automatic or
Steven?
Hold on a second.
What's it say?
That's all it says on there because it's a skill feat. So I don't know. That's all I see in the book, but I don't know if I'm in the wrong area perhaps or.
Okay. Well, if you're using a skill to detect deception, you're doing it with perception.
Okay.
Trip up anyone lying to you. So you can engage in a conversation with someone trying to lie. So if somebody tries to lie to you, they need to make a check against your deception DC rather than your perception DC. So what's your deception?
8.
So it would be a DC of 18.
Okay.
And so if he's trying to lie to her, he's got to succeed.
Right. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. So he says, that's not what I said. I didn't say that.
Okay. What did you say? I
said I wouldn't tell you who V is. Not that I didn't know. I wouldn't tell you.
They're on sitting back. That's not what he said.
So you won't tell me who V is. You said you work for yourself.
I'm an independent contractor. I work for lots of people.
That sounds a little different from what you said yesterday.
Oh. And it'll be a little different again tomorrow, I'm sure.
I don't know what the point of you protecting this V person is if you're independent anyways. It's not like he's going to help you right now. He's not the one with the food or whatever else it is that you need.
Would it cost any money for you to tell us? Considering you're an independent contractor, can we pay you?
Nah, I don't think that's gonna work.
Hmm.
I don't think you're going to be able to fix this.
Well, I feel fine with that because last time it was an I don't know, and now it's an I won't tell you. So at least that tells me something. I'll leave the food next to the guards and let them take care of it. It's not my
Okay.
business, and
Yeah.
I'll leave them be.
Yeah, they kind of sniff it and they'll have their bites and they'll take theirs from him before he gets the crumbs and scrums off of that. But Naola looks troubled by that entire interaction, and she says, "We will go north. Their den is not far from where I found the corpses, the ones that you downed, and it's not far from here."
Well, at least we learned that Halled's in an even bigger asshole than we thought he was.
Surprise!
And an even bigger liar than we thought. As we're walking, can I run up to? I'm sorry. Repeat her name, Naola.
Naola, yes.
Naola. I'm gonna run up to her and ask her, just based on her response with everything that went down. Have you ever had any interactions with Hallett? I know you've been around the town and had dealings with Delma. I'm sure you've probably seen him around.
I have had no dealings with the brute, no. My dealings with the town have been exclusively with Delma. I preferred it that way. I would only come in late in the evenings and leave before the mornings. It's how I prefer to do things.
I sure don't blame you. There's not a lot of normal people in this town.
You notice from being around her in this short period of time as you're walking out of town and heading past an area where there is still a smoldering fire from where she clearly walked the corpses out yesterday and lit them ablaze here to burn them. You notice that she avoids using her right hand, and it seems to be entirely covered in an odd-shaped leather gauntlet. She tells you that the wolves that you attacked were not the first, and she's afraid they won't be the last as well, for the blight is changing. And that's the part that she's most scared of. She believes that with your help, that we might be able to turn the tail on it, because the forest itself is souring, and it is more than I can handle alone. It seems like the way it transfers is the corrupted plants are being consumed by the animals, and then in turn they are sickened and mutated, changed at times, if they're not killed outright by it.
Well, I have a sneaking suspicion that all of this is alchemical in nature, and it probably has to do with this person V that we're trying to figure out who and where they are.
Why would someone want to spread a false blight like this? Why would they want to damage? Why would they want to damage the land like this? They're killing the land.
Yeah, my guess is they're evil.
Lena just kind of like shakes her head and she's like, well, you can't make sense of crazy.
There's a lot of crazy now.
Dark gods and undead and such. Pick any reason why people want to do something nasty like this.
But I am sure as we get into the heart of the matter that we will be able to figure out exactly what the motivation is. But it does seem odd right now, I agree.
She said there is an old grove orchard from here. It is the closest spread of the blight. I think we should go and see. Their den, I believe, corresponds with that orchard, and that is where I plan to take us.
So you're a druid, I'm assuming. I don't want to make any like that's not but do you have much contact with the people at Entrance Folly?
She says, I am not a druid. And
Okay.
as I said before, I have some comings and goings here, but I prefer only to deal with Delma.
What about people around Etrin's Folly?
There aren't many.
And your thoughts on Entrance Folly? What do you think of that place?
I don't have any thoughts of it. It's just a place near the forest that I retired. It is a place where I can get goods occasionally that I can't provide for myself in the forest. Nothing more than that. I am far more concerned about the blight and its effect on the forest than I am at the town. The town can, well, excuse me for saying, the town can dry up and die for all I care. It is the forest that I am concerned about. The animals, the plants, nature. That is
you sure you ain't a druid? Maybe like you are a druid, but I don't know. Maybe you got enchanted, forgot about it, or maybe you should go join the druids. I think you'd fit right in.
You can think of me however you'd like, drunk cleric.
Well, okay, guilty as charged. But don't worry, whatever I'm thinking, you be sure it's kindly in nature.
She explains to you that once you hit the edge of the old grove blight, she intends to set some traps and perhaps reset some old ones if there are. She's already tracked out that area a little bit, but she's trying to capture live some of the blighted animals so that she can examine them without them being dead, because so far she's only been able to see the dead ones. So she will lead you for about 3 hours into the forest and into, it becomes pretty obvious when you get to the blighted area. Things that aren't outright dead are a much darker color. So the green gets a little bit more a blackish, brownish green. Things are still green, but they're starting to blacken. They're starting to wither. Certain plants are absent altogether, like the super frail ground ferns and things that normally grow along the ground. The fragile things seem to be the first thing to go. They're just not there at all. And you can see that the trees of this area are starting to vein up and show signs of some kind of trauma that is clear. They're not okay. It seems the farther you move into this space, the worse or the more of them are affected in this way, if you understand what I mean. So, as I said, about 3 hours into this hike into the blight, the presence of rot increases with every step that you take, and Nola slows to a stop, turns to look at you, saying, "This is where those wolves came from. I'm sure of it. I tracked them back to here. Somewhere ahead of there is their den, but I will leave that for you to explore. If you need my help, you can find me out here. I'm going to set up some more snares, and I'm going to do a full circle to make sure that we are not being flanked or put into an unfavorable position." And she kind of points. There is an opening. There's a relatively wide opening in this grove where the blight looks like it's just eaten everything away. And the only thing that remains in the middle of this grove are 3 sickly looking, brownish, dark, scraggly bushes dead center middle of this grove. And then beyond that, you can see where a really large tree has fallen over and split. So you're looking at the bottom of the root system kind of coming at you this way with a split in it. And even from this distance past those bushes, you can see that it looks like it's stepped down, like there's terracing that occurs going into the root system of the tree and revealing a way into the subterranean.
Well, I do nudge Daisy as she's putting the traps around. I said, Ranger.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
But then she thinks you're a cleric.
Well, yeah. It must be the beard.
All right. Well, let's go check out this place.
Okay. What's the marching order?
What?
I'll take out my crossbow, be somewhat in front. I'm going to observe as I move forward, trying to figure out more about this place.
Okay. Simon, where are you at?
I'm going to be in front with Theron.
Up in front with Theron? Okay.
Yep.
Kind of side by side with him?
Yep.
Daisy is right behind you because you usually try to get your eyes in front of him, kind of trudging through all of the tracks and all the things that you want to see. With Electra right on his heels, and then Lycura and Desna pulling up the rear, coming into the grove.
I'm not thrilled that we're gonna go hang out with these wolves again.
Listen, I'm getting battle ready, and as I get battle ready, I'm like looking over at Lycura, like, why is it that every time someone from the town needs something, they're not helping us?
Right.
We're brought here, and now we're fighting wolves again. Like,
absolutely.
I did not sign up for this anywhere.
Yeah, same.
So you can kind of get the idea here. The trees around the edges are so thick in the greened areas where it's impassable there, but they are dying. This is part of the dead grove. In front of you are the three sickly looking bushes that are in the middle, and they're the only things left alive out of it. This very much feels like the epicenter. Like this is a spot where the blights, like some of the blight like touched right here, and it just went bleh, and you can literally see how it spread out and killed everything from there. So you can see the three bushes in the middle, and then beyond the bushes you can start to see the root system of that tree, how it's fallen down, and you can see how it's terraced beyond that. But that's about as far as you can see. How fast and how forward would you like to move beyond this point?
I was going to say, can I cast Magic Hand real quick and poke the bushes from far away?
Magic Hand and poke the bushes.
I have a range of 30 feet.
Okay. You
are see 10, if it'll trigger
20,
anything.
30. So you're about, what is that? 10, 20, 30. You're about 40 feet away. You could, if that's what you want to try to do, you could move up next to Daisy.
Okay.
And that would put you at a 30 right there if you wanted. And what do you mean by poke a bush? You just want to, smack the foliage around? Are you trying to see if something comes out of it?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just like rustling the bushes with my very magical hand.
Okay.
It's very long.
Last time Daisy banged on the door, so I think this is a much more discreet approach.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Like Kira, I've been attacked by bees and wolves. I'm good.
Yes.
So yeah, you move forward. You look at the bushes. The two of you, Simon and Theron, you'll get to about there side by side, having a look. By the time Lycura uses her mage hand, she slaps the bush, and from out of the bush, from its base, a long viney coil with a bulbous kind of end on it and a spike of a thorn rises up out of that, and it kind of agitated responds to you slapping this thing, and the other two will both pop up, and the bushes are alive, and we're gonna cliffhang it right there. and yeah, we will come back at the beginning of the next episode, and we will be rolling our initiatives and going into combat and seeing how you deal with the deadly flora here in the Blighted Grove. So, yeah. Thank you for joining us for 15. 16 is going to be exciting. We're going to open up with combat. So bring your popcorn and join us. We'll see you in a week for Upload Mondays. Bye, guys.
Bye.